Howdy.
Hello.
So, today, or I guess not today, but today is a few days after our wedding day. We're married now, if you can see. You want to show, hon? Yeah?
Except Adam can't do the finger thing.
I can't do the finger thing. We'll get to
There
that,
you
but I
go.
can't put it up. But we just got married, and we're super excited to start our lives together and move forward and everything. And we wanted to just take a second to take a step back and just kind of document how we're feeling now and all that fun stuff. So in the event that we wanted to look back at this later, or maybe down the road one day we'll have kids and our kids will want to watch this and all that fun stuff, that they'll be able to, and all that fun stuff, and get a little bit of insight into our wedding day and how it all went and everything. So I guess we'll go ahead and just get started from my perspective, and then Ella can go through it with her perspective, and all that fun stuff. But so I think for me, the start of the wedding day, so Ella told us we had to be at the church, or sorry, not at the church, at the reception at 19 Hawthorn Hall at 11 o'clock to start getting ready. So I woke up, I think, around 9 o'clock that day. And I walked down to breakfast, and Steven, Hunter, Krista, Rocco, Connor, and his girlfriend Caitlin were all there. And I just started chatting with them. And funny story, the hotel we stayed at, was it Town Place Suites?
Town Place Suites.
Town Place Suites in Lima. It was really nice. They had a hotel bar. They had the continental breakfast. You go in the room, they had literally like a little stove, a full fridge, full-size fridge, like all the fun stuff. The shower was so interesting.
It was so weird. The door didn't shut.
The door didn't shut. It's just like, there just was no door. It was
so cold.
Yeah, it was so cold. It was just no door. So half the shower had the door, half of it didn't. I think it's in like a modern thing, maybe. But anyway, it was interesting and it was new to us. But anyway, about that morning, it was kind of funny. I walked down, right? And usually in these hotel places, right, they have a bunch of different offerings, right? Things to eat in the morning. Well, they were out of everything. They were out of waffles. They were out of eggs. They were out of everything except for sausage patties.
Okay.
So I just turned around and grabbed a coffee and went and sat down because I wasn't in the mood for sausage patties anyway.
Okay.
And luckily, and then we just started chatting about stuff. I don't remember what we chatted about, but luckily they refilled it, and I got an Eggs Benedict egg thing, which I really did not like. It had feta cheese in it, and I just was not about that. Then they also had breakfast sandwiches, so I had one of those. And then they also refilled the waffle maker, so I got a waffle that morning as well. So then, all that being said, right, we chat until about 10:30. People went back up to the room to shower real quick. I had John stay with me the night before because him, Christian, and Max all had a room, and apparently, like, my parents didn't book enough, so John just had to go to a different room, who was John, my brother, and my best man in the wedding. But he ended up just staying with me the night before, right? We had the pull-out couch. He stayed there. It was great. So, long story short, what happened was we then got John at like 10:45 and ran over to Panera Bread. We had two different things catered.
Yeah, for the bridal suite and groom suite.
One for the bridal suite, one for the groom suite, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And all that fun stuff. And we got there, and the guys and we just kind of hung out for a little bit. And we were looking at the venue. Everyone was like, man, this place is sweet, blah, blah, blah. And so we're like, of course, grab a beer and go outside and
play cornhole.
And the famous quote for the rest of the day was my friend Hunter, so the whole trip, right, Ella kind of had everything planned out A to Z, and the whole time I'm just thinking, all right, how do I get to where I need to be next? And then as soon as I got there, being like, hey, hun, what's next?
Yeah.
And long story short, because of that, I wasn't like fully in the loop. I knew the ceremony, we wanted to be there it was at 3, right? We need to be there before, so I was thinking like 2:30. So I just famously said to the guys when they asked, they're like, "Hey, what time we need to start getting ready?" I just said, 2:00. We're good till 2.
Was not good till 2.
We were not, and needless to say, we were not good until 2. So what happened was, Megan, which was Ella's maid of honor and also her sister, ran out about right around 12 o'clock, and she goes, "So you guys ready to shoot for photos or no?" Because our photographers just showed up, and we didn't realize we were taking pictures before as well. So, long story short, we go back in, and we're getting changed and all that stuff, and everyone's getting changed, and then all of a sudden I hear one of my guys, Hunter, he calls over, he goes, "Dude, Adam." I'm like, "Uh-oh, what happened?" He goes, "They gave me a tie instead of a bow tie." So the attire was, me as the groom was going to have a tie. All the groomsmen were going to have bow ties. And everyone tried it on. And Hunter even said, he's like, "Dude, like, I don't know what happened. I went to the store. I tried it on. I literally put the bow tie on. And they packed it back up. This is what happened." So what happened? Essentially, it was crazy. Now, I luckily was able to call the old man. And I said, "Hey, Dad." He was asleep, by the way. But luckily, he was willing and able to go to Men's Warehouse. And he went to Men's Warehouse, and then he got a bow tie and then brought it to the ceremony. But for the photos, that's why you'll see in the groomsmen pictures, if you look closely, me and then Jonathan, the best man, have ties, and everyone else has bow ties. And then in the remaining pictures for the rest of the night, you will see everyone have a bow tie except for me. So that is kind of the explanation to that and that fun story. And that was awesome. I was like, hey, those are the little things that, you
Luckily was able to get solved.
We're able to get solved, exactly right. So the next thing, finally, we're making our way to the church and all that fun stuff, and we're driving there. We drove in the cars, me, John, Hunter, and Clayton. All 4 of us drove over, and I remember as soon as I got there, the biggest thing for us is we did not want to be, at least I, didn't want to see her.
I wanted to do a first look, but Adam did not. So we did not see each other until going down the aisle.
We did not see each other until going down the aisle, and long story short, so I was really cautious about that the whole time. Well, we got there, and then around 2:50, me and the pastor went up. If you go up, essentially it was to the right of the piano. I'm sure we have pictures of it, but to the right of the piano, there's a little door, and I went in there, and I just was honestly tearing up and crying the whole time. I was so happy and excited, and I said a prayer to God of thanks, and I think it's really important to be thankful in this life, and just said thanks, God.
Yeah.
But anyway, then I remember seeing Grandma Moss and Ella's grandmas come up and light the candles, and then they sat down, and then they said, "Hey, it's time to go." So I walked out, and I was already just teared up, I was trying my best. Literally the tears were just running down my cheeks, just like this, And
okay.
I literally couldn't help myself but to keep on doing that. And then everyone walked out one by one. Steve was the first one, and then all the way up to Clayton and then John. And then I remember when Ella was walking down the aisle, I thought what was crazy about the whole thing is I could notice she didn't look up. So she'll be able to talk about more of that with her experience when we get there, but she wasn't looking up, and I think it was because she was nervous. But honestly, it was okay because my eyes were so full of water and I was crying so much that my vision was all blurry. But I remember it was. Really? But I remember as soon as she got close enough that I saw her, I said, "That is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life." And I'm so blessed to have her. And then, we held hands just just like this, right on the altar, and all that fun stuff.
Okay.
And went through the vows, which was great. We should have a video of that, so that's exciting. I think our power just went out as we're recording this. Luckily, we're on the computer, right, and we're not on the monitors. We're on the laptop, our M1 MacBook Pro, in case you want to look that up 10,000 years from now and realize how awful the compute is compared to what you have then, I'm sure, But long story short, after we, what were we at?
I don't know.
All
Going
right.
down the aisle, probably now we're at the end of the ceremony.
Now we're at the end of the ceremony, and I also remember going to light the unity candle. I didn't realize that you're supposed to take the candles the grandparents lit, so luckily they had a lighter on the table, but it was on Ella's side, and I was like, hey babe, do you want to grab the lighter? And she just didn't even respond to me.
I didn't even hear you. I didn't know you said that. Thank God.
Yeah. So I thought you had to get the lighter, but then I saw her pick up the candle. I was like, oh, okay, perfect. All right. So then I picked up the candle, and then I lit it.
It almost didn't light.
And it almost didn't light. I was freaking out. It lit, and then we put it back.
And then it almost went out.
We were watching it, and we were like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I know. It's bad luck if it went out.
Yep, it would have been real bad luck. But luckily it stayed on and all that fun stuff. But, before we even get back to getting to the venue, right, I want to talk about just the venue as a whole. And it was Ella did such an amazing job planning it. It had all different colors, and it looked so beautiful in there. I remember walking in right after the hotel. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so awesome. I can't believe all this is, for me and Ella,
Yeah.
And I think that was such a special moment. And I also think it was a special moment at the church, seeing everyone that showed up for us.
It was packed. The church was
packed. And then when we got to the reception hall and we saw everyone, it's just crazy to see, how many people love and care and support you when you don't even realize it. And, I think that's another thing to be very thankful for. We have a lot of people that care about us, that want to see us succeed on our journey, and want to see us continue to strive for greatness, and, all that fun stuff. But anyway, as soon as we got back to the venue, which, by the way, we rode back with Megan and Rachel
yep.
to the venue. The photographers took us aside, and we started doing pictures. And throughout this process, it was great. We went to various different locations at Hawthorn. It was an old country club that they converted to this venue. So they had a bunch of great places to take pictures. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Chad at 19 Hawthorn, who just is an amazing individual. And I'm telling you, this guy's so good at what he does. He was pointing out spots the photographers didn't even know. He was next level awesome, not only through the planning process, but also even on that day. It was awesome. But anyway, took a bunch of pictures, went great. As soon as we were done with pictures, we did the announcements, and everyone walked in one by one. The DJ announced us walking out, and we were super excited and happy about that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And then after that, we all took a seat, and then we did our first dance.
Yep.
And the song was?
It's called The One by the band Codaline.
The One by band Codaline. And we were dancing, it was kind of crazy. We only took a few moments, I think, to actually, not say anything. We were kind of talking to each other most of the time. But one thing that was funny is, and the reason this is funny is because when we were doing our photo shoot originally, was it this photographer or the first one? With this photographer. And the reason I say that is because we had an engagement photographer, and then we had the photographer that we did for the wedding here. But anyway, the reason it was funny is there was a moment in our wedding, our photo shoot before the wedding, where the photographer just said, hey, like, just pretend to chat to each other.
Yeah, whisper something in their ear.
And we just kept saying, chicken wing, chicken wing, chicken wing.
Well, Adam said it, not me. And then I started saying it because of him.
Yep. So then, when we're, doing our first dance, we're, like, talking to each other, but then we're like, we don't know what to say, so we just started saying chicken wing. Chicken wing. So,
yeah, and then during the song, a bunch of bubbles started coming
out. Yeah, they started blowing the bubbles out, and we didn't even know we paid for that. Apparently we did.
It was really cool.
That was great, and all that fun stuff. So, and then after that, we sat down. We got up. By the way, the charcuterie board during cocktail hour when we were taking pictures, the charcuterie board that we have ordered was like supposed to be like 220 people or something. We had 190 something come, and I'm telling you, that thing was gone
in like an hour.
So we had a hungry crowd, to say the least.
Yeah.
So everyone loved the charcuterie board, which was great, and all that fun stuff. But I wanted to mention that real quick. But anyway, dinner's coming around. They announce us. We get up. We go grab dinner. And the only thing I'll say, we got Black Angus, which the food was absolutely excellent. But they brought the plate. The plates were styrofoam. And I remember I was like kind of disappointed with that. Not gonna lie. But hey, it is what it is. So anyway, we got the plates. It was chicken, mashed potatoes, pulled pork, and pulled pork sandwich, and then mac and cheese, right?
No, green beans.
Oh, green beans.
A roll and salad.
And then, so then we got that, sat down, ate. John and Megan gave their first speeches. John definitely roasted me, but he did a good enough job. So, love you, John, if you're watching. But, anyway, after that, Ella had her first dance with...
And Megan gave a speech.
Yeah, that's right. Well, okay. Yeah.
And then we did the father-daughter dance.
But father-daughter dance we cut the cake. I forgot. And by the way, we only cut the cake once. And we didn't even realize, we're supposed to cut the cake multiple times.
Yeah, the rest of the cake was cut the day after. It was cut the day after,
and no one else got the cake, unfortunately. The good news is we had cupcakes for everyone. That was, what we, ordered. We only bought the cake for the cake cutting, ceremonial thing.
And we bought it for the wedding party to have the bottom portion, but that just didn't happen.
Yeah, we forgot about that, so yeah. But hey, it is what it is, and all that fun stuff. But anyway, after that,
then we did father-daughter
dance. Did the father-daughter dance, and they mispronounced her dad's name. What did they say?
Troy Atkinson.
They said Troy Atkinson. He goes by Toby Atkinson. That's pretty different than Troy. And it was the funniest thing because I think they announced it twice.
They did.
So the first time they say Troy Atkinson, and I look over, it's like,
so
I knew they were talking about Toby, but they said Troy Atkinson, and we're looking at him, we're like, oh my god, he didn't even realize.
Yeah, he didn't even know that he had to get up because he was like, who is that?
Exactly, and luckily, the guys next to him were like, hey, I think that's you, blah, blah, blah. So he got up and, all that stuff. But later in the night, which I don't remember, they called him Troy again. I was just like, that's horrible, come on. It's not that hard to get Toby right, it's literally 4 letters, bro.
Okay.
But Anyway, so after that, mother-son dance. Oh, what was your father-daughter dance song?
Piano Man by Billy Joel.
Piano Man by Billy Joel. And then my mother-son dance was Climb Every Mountain from the End of the Sound of Music. Mom loves that song. She picked it, not me. So, yep, I let her have that one. It was a good song, though.
It was good. Everyone liked it.
Everyone liked it. That was a good song. And then after that, we kind of just went into the, dance
actual
mode.
Reception,
Actual reception with everyone.
We said hi to everyone.
Well, we tried to say hi to everyone. So yes,
people.
if anyone watching has ever been involved in a wedding, been the bride or the groom, or planning one, what the advice that I would say is figure out a way to go talk to all of your tables before the reception part starts, because our problem was we didn't do that, and because we had to go do a few we were just running around talking to people, right? And before you know it, everyone is not at their table anymore. So our power keeps going out. We don't know what's going on. Or maybe it's just the screen, because we're not talking about it. But anyway, so yeah, but I'd say that was probably the biggest thing. We had people constantly coming up to us. I've never had that kind of experience before. They were always everyone's coming up to you. Everyone's coming up to you.
Say hi.
To come say hi and all that fun stuff and congratulations and stuff, and it was a great and amazing experience. But I remember that was also new to us. We just, me, I chat all the time. I just won't shut up. Yeah. And anyway, so
hence we're at the 21-minute mark.
Exactly, but I think the point of the matter is, that was a great experience. The venue is absolutely beautiful. We took a few more pictures. The photographers pulled us aside. They want to get some sunset photos, so we got those. That was great.
Got a Kent State photo.
Kent State photo.
Kent State.
All right. And then, other than that, we just kind of hung out, danced for a while, drank a lot, and all that fun stuff. And, I think the only other thing to mention was that Grandpa Moss and Grandma Moss were just a little bit late. I think they got
lost.
So we actually had to postpone their video, the pictures with them until later. But we were able to get those pictures with them, which is great. But anyway, that happened, and then at the end of the night, I remember I was like, hey, Toby, let's go out and sit down for a second. And, I wanted to make a point to let him know that, number one, thanks for raising such an amazing daughter and, someone that I love and will care for the rest of my life. But number two, I want to have a great relationship with him always, and that I will do anything to make that happen. So, anyway, I really wanted to just make sure, man to man, I just was like, hey, this is where I stand, this is where I want things to go, and all that fun stuff. But it was great. It was a great relationship, great conversation, all that fun stuff, and that was good. And then after that, we wrapped up. Again, drank way too much.
Mrs. P was so drunk.
The Pickfords were there in support of us, and just like that. And honestly, I was so happy just to see them there with us. Me personally, my family, we grew up really, really close with them. And they were great family friends, and it was awesome to see them there. We haven't seen them as much lately just because we've all grown, but it was great to see them there having such a great time and having so much fun. I was just over the moon happy about that, and with that being said, the whole reception as a whole, I think, went as good as anyone could ever ask for. People were fun, engaged, excited. People were dancing, talking.
Playing cornhole.
Stuff that you only dream that your reception is. Because, hey, we've both been to so many weddings, and there's so many weddings you'll go to that, people just will not dance on the day. People just don't want to go dance, or people just don't want to do X, Y, and Z. And this time, people were there, and they wanted to, and I was so happy about that. And then finally, to wrap up the night, I'll never forget, we get back to the room, and Ella's like, I wanted to go to Taco Bell.
As I had mentioned it, last month, I said, hey, we need to get some Taco Bell on the way back, because it's a good full circle moment, because that's kind of how Adam and I guess how Adam started liking me is because I brought him Taco Bell, because I work there in college.
That's what she thinks.
We have to get Taco Bell. So I said we have to get Taco Bell at the end of the night. But then I forgot about it until we got back to the hotel. So then we called Susan and Megan back and said, hey, do you guys want to go get Taco Bell? And they said, absolutely. And they came and picked us up and we went to Taco Bell.
So we already dropped them off. Or they already dropped us off. And then we had to call them back and ask them to come get us. So thank you to Megan and them for all that. But that was our experience, or at least my experience. I mean, so I guess now that was like my experience for the whole 25 minutes. Now I'm curious if Han has any...
I can just tell you my morning, because all of our afternoon was the same. I stayed at Toby's the night before with my college friends, Nina, Avery, and Sam. And then Megan, my sister, stayed there too. Stayed up until like midnight talking, and then went to bed. Didn't get much sleep because I was so nervous, but woke up at 7:30. We got our getting ready PJs on. We all had matching getting ready PJs. Give me one sec here. You talk for a second.
Yep. So part of the whole wedding experience is the fact that we both kind of feel slightly under the weather, and which is great considering we're going to Costa Rica tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. So that's awesome. But anyway, we're fighting through it. You know, it'll be good. But anyway,
so we all put on our matching PJs, and my dad got us mellow cream donuts, which are my favorite in Lima. We had our donuts, went and got Big B coffee, and then went to the venue, the reception hall, and started setting up. We allotted like 2.5 hours for setup time, but got it done in like an hour, just over an hour, which was great. The florist did all her stuff, and then we all just kind of split tasks setting it all up. And we just got ready, and then ate our Panera at 11, and then did some, pictures with the photographer at 1:45, and then went to the church. So that's about it. Everything's pretty much the same.
No more crazy little details or anything like that?
Nothing really. I think you said them all, yeah.
Well, I mean, I said them all for me.
I know.
Ours did you guys have any goofs or like anything like that?
Not really. Everything went pretty steady. I mean, the only mishaps were the tie and then Troy, so.
Any fun, like, stories or anything like that you guys were talking about the night before, or
nothing crazy. We were just talking about like our fun college experiences and like how we met and like was a friend group, and that's about it. So yeah,
cool, awesome. Well, I mean, hey, that's our experience. So we're happily married now as husband and wife. It's crazy to say that still. Anyway, like, I'm serious, like, it is so wild to think that, like, but it is true, at least from my perspective, when they say it goes too quick, because when you're there and you're in the moment, especially before the ceremony, you're so anxious, you're like, man, like, I just want to get there, I want to get there, I want to get there, I want to get there, but once you get there, it is, like, over before you even know it, right? And, that truly was one of the best days of my life, if not the best day of my life.
Mine too.
So, another thing, finally, just to finish off. I remember as soon as we walked out the church, we're walking out, and when we open the doors up, the McFeeders are standing there. They're the most amazing people in the world, but they're just notorious for being slightly late to things. So they're great, and I love them. And quite frankly, Travis has helped me so much on my journey. Like, he is the GOAT. Like, nothing but great things to say. But I was like, it was a little detail I wanted to throw in there. And also, though, I remember right after that, though, we kept walking, and Ella turned to me, and she goes, "That was perfect."
It was perfect. Everything went,
so
that
was
smoothly.
Perfect. That's exactly.
Yeah, we didn't stumble on the vows. We didn't, burn ourselves on the candle. Like, I tripped a little bit going up the steps, but that's about it. Everything went great. So it was a perfect ceremony.
That was perfect. So, that's a good one to end on.
Yep.
So, and then we gave each other a hug, and that was it. That's history. Yep. Obviously, I was joking with the boys when we got back.
What'd you say?
I said, standard deduction just went up.
On that note, I'm out of here.
All right. Well, that's a good end. We're off to Costa Rica now, and
maybe
for a week.
Smokies with the grandparents.
Yep, Smokies with the grandparents. Maybe we'll make a video when we get back. Maybe we won't. We'll see.
Yeah, be a lot of fun pictures and memories though.
A lot of fun pictures and memories. So absolutely. But anyway,
till next time.
Thank you.